So we could consider this a playful exploration of what is. It's suggested that this meeting or gathering is an exposure of what appears to be happening. And what appears to be happening is, well, just this. It's totally ordinary, total simplicity, and totally natural. There just is what appears to be happening. Not for any reason, not for any meaning or purpose, without telling a story, of course. Without storytelling, there just is what immediately appears to be happening. What immediately appears to be happening, well, it can't really be talked about because there's nothing else other than that. So even these words right now, even this apparent description is also timelessly, immediately this. So these words aren't actually explaining what's happening, they are what's happening. They don't escape this appearance to actually accurately describe, elaborate or explain. So there's just words, there's terms perhaps, there's concepts and suggestions being thrown around, but without any intention to change anyone or anything. They are this simple utterance of freedom, you could say. And it is suggested that this everything is freedom. It's free in the sense that it's not constricted or limited to anyone's beliefs or opinions or views or values or ideologies either. It's totally this. Just totally this. It's timelessly this. It's immediately this. It's absolutely fresh in a sense, organic, wild. And it isn't, it's free in the also the sense that it's not confined to time or space, because this is not actually moving through anything. This isn't coming from anywhere. Again, without telling a story, without storytelling, this doesn't appear to have an origin. This doesn't appear to have a foundation or a source. This doesn't appear to be coming from anywhere or going anywhere. Only a story would say so, and that's also free to appear. But these storytelling, which I'll get to more about in an apparent minute, is well, that's just free to appear as well. But really, what appears to be happening is not timely, because there's no before and after. There's never a before to be found. There's never an after to be found. There's never even a next second or moment to be found. There's only what immediately appears to be happening. And any thought and memory that might sort of apparently explode, well, that's just timelessly this being memory or idea or thought that would say, what about this, what about that? That's this immediately, freshly being that. So all perceptions, all sensations, all apparent conceptual and analytical and intellectual and physiological appearances are all equally this immediacy. It's totally immediate. It's immediate in the sense that it's not close or far. There's no actual real distance within this appearance. There's nothing, there are no separate things to be distant. Whatever is happening, whether it's touched, felt, sensed, heard, smelt, it's completely, immediately, vitally this. Yeah, and that's all encompassing. So whatever is happening is totally that, and this, in its boundlessness, in its freedom, in its meaninglessness, can appear to be constricted, can appear to be contracted, localized, finite, separate, conditional. And so energy, we could call this as another word, which doesn't really get to it or elaborate or capture. But energy can appear to be centered. And as though that appearance is happening within this whole, all of what I just said does not seem true, basically. It doesn't seem like those words actually accurately fit that particular appearance of immediacy, of timelessness, of spacelessness. It seems as though once that centered energy appears, it's as though, no, this is conditional, this is moving through time, this is spatial, this is limited. And what seems to be apparent is that that energy viscerally locates itself, illusorily, by the way, to a body. It feels like it's attached to a human organism. And in that appearance, it feels like a separate reality is born, where I am. Suddenly I am, the famous words, that seems to be true. That seems to be the fundamental reality. That there's an I that is am. And out of that I amness, or a concentrated energy, an appearance of localization, all of these beliefs and opinions seem to grow, but all of these perceptions seem to grow as well. So it's as though I am looking through the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the tongue, the pores of the skin, and everything that I am knowing about is separate from me. So all people I seem to see are distant things that I relate to. They are not immediate, they are over there at a distance from me. All sounds, all sights, all textures, all imaginable and perceivable things seem to be objectified in that appearance. It's as though everything is separate. Everything is kind of solidified as well in that objective realm. And thoughts and memories and ideas too are objectified. And in the objectification, it seems like these things are solid, including the thoughts, including the ideas, the memories. They seem to be real, fundamental reports and depictions of this reality. And that is kind of crucial to that reality, really, because when memories seem to be solid, they seem to be abstracted from this, what's appearing. So it's as though the memory is of something else other than this. And that's how time seems to be perceived as continuous. So it's kind of abstract to talk about it. It can't not be abstract to talk about it. But it seems like when memories are things, they seem to be other than this. There seems to be a now where sensation and perception is happening, but there also seems to be a real past that is separate from what's happening here and now. And a future that's separate from here and now. And that's the way in which this separate reality is viewed, is interpreted. That's how continuity seems to be, that there's a real past, a real future, and a real now where I am. The past is where I've been, the future is where I will be, and now is where I am. That's my position in time. And without that abstractional energy, there's no meaning, there's no purpose. Because where would it be if there's only this? If there's only this, what is immediately happening, there's no meaning or purpose to be found. Nor is there a need for a meaning or purpose as well, of course, because the need for meaning and purpose is kind of a directional based energy, and this is where religion and spirituality seem to come from. They seem to come from this need to move in a direction, to make progress somewhere else. And so time seems to be linear, chronological. It seems to be continuous and objectified by that separate, contracted or concentrated density of energy. And space seems to be real too. It seems like I am here. I'm not over there. I'm not out of the window, or I'm not on the first floor. I'm here. This is where I am. It feels like a visceral positional energy. It's not a thought. It's not as simple as a belief. If it was, then the body could just change that thought or that belief for another one, and well, game over. It's a visceral quality. It feels like this is literally where I am. I'm embodied. I'm here. I'm not over there. I'm here. And so there's a visceral feeling of here, and there's a kind of visceral feeling of now as well. And those are really important to that energy. They're fundamental to that reality, really. Without those, there's no orientation, there's no position, there's no individual. What also seems to be apparent with that energy is the misconception that that energy is actually overseeing the functions of the body. So what's interpreted when that energy feels very viscerally located is it seems like that energy is actually driving the body. And this is where free will and choice as beliefs and as misconceptions come about. Because if there's free will, there has to be someone to have free will. There has to be someone that is actually choosing how to move, how to speak, how to think, feel, behave, who to be, what to be, how to navigate this apparent world which I am a part of, but also apart from. And that's a total illusion. It's a total illusory, fantastical belief system, really, a subtle one, or maybe a gross one, actually. But there's no reality to that. There's no reality to free will. It's actually tension in the body which has been misperceived as control. It's like the hands on the reins of a horse, and the more those hands tense up, the more it feels like I am actually, guiding the horse this way or that way. But it's not control, it's just tension. And in the apparent release and relaxation of that grip, that kind of grippy energy, well, the horse apparently just carries on riding. There's just no sense of an illusory controller driving the body. So that's what can be said also about this energy, is it's sort of like doing this with its sort of visceral quality. It's like it's tensing in the body. And so with the continuity, with the spatial center, and with the misperception of control, this is all interpreted as an individual, basically. It's interpreted as a personal energy, or even a personal entity called me. And with the sense of going somewhere in time and space, what the stories might seem to be very real and apparent and important. So the stories take a million different forms, as I'm sure we're all familiar with, and we only need to look in a library or the nearest church or something to find these wonderful, colourful stories about where this appearance is coming from, where it's going, what it's becoming, where it's what its potential is, and what's our place in that. So spirituality, religion, shamanism, philosophy, psychology, they all appear to have the answers to the deep, meaningful and existential questions of this apparently existential disease or predicament. It's like there's a disease in this energy of feeling separate, and in the timeline, feeling real, I am looking out. I am on the search for finding something to relate to. So this seeking energy can be very, very visceral. It can be very hard on the body, it would seem. It can feel very dissatisfying. And, for many people, there's just going about the day, getting a job, and, living a fairly apparently mundane or ordinary life, maybe a material one, just, relating to other people as separate entities and individuals. But for some people, for some bodies, this energy is really quite irritable and restless, and so it often searches for something more than a material possession or person to relate to. And this is often when the search becomes a so-called spiritual one or a religious one. It turns towards ancient scriptures or modern ones. So it maybe finds paths and practices, not only answers as to what God is or what the divine is or whatever I call it, wherever I grew up in, it's obviously going to have a different, sort of flavour of story, whether it's, Islamic or Christian or Buddhist. But it's always the same kind of energy. It feels like it's on the move to get somewhere. And so it maybe finds that in books, but it also finds it in practices and processes, rites and rituals. Maybe it gets a hold of the Tao Te Ching or the Dhammapada, or maybe it practices Christianity or something for a while. It gets involved in a group or a community, and that might seem to soothe that system for a while because it kind of wants to belong. It's looking for some kind of comfort or relief with this sense of separateness. But I'm guessing, at least some of us showing up here, maybe that hasn't quite worked out. I mean, it works for a while for some bodies. Maybe it seems to work for the whole lifetime, but the suggestion is it doesn't really. It never actually fully scratches the itch of this existential disease. Yeah. Because that sense of separateness never finds what it's really longing for in a thing, in a place, in a person. Not even in a meditation or a yoga, a new tantric exercise or initiation. It never gets what it's really longing for within any kind of thing that it could actually objectifiably relate to. Because all objects, whether they're states of mind, substances, or anything, are always something distant from me, no matter how close I seem to bring them. They are always seemingly distant and separate. And in that relationship is just a confirmation that separation is true. Well, it's longing actually for the absence of that separate reality, from its own reality, from its own existence. And so this is where some scriptures actually seem to tiptoe around this exposure, that really the longing is for what is already, not for what's next, not for the next state, the next experience, the next high. It's longing for the absence of that chase, for the absence of the chasing after the what's next. It's longing for the absence of here and there, me and you, the polarity, the duality, the separate reality. It's longing for the absence of that. The predicament here is that there's no way to get to that, because any way to get to that is distant and dualistic again. So this is an institutionalized energy. The one place it can't look is this already. It can't get to what is already. It can't look for what is already. It's only ever looking out for what's next or what's over there. So this is a kind of paradoxical, illusory thinning and fading out of that sort of restless energy, which never actually is really happening. It's fickle, it's totally transparent. No matter how solidified and contracted it seems, it's actually totally insubstantial. And the thing about this is that any kind of direction it seems to get is just kind of confirming its contracted state of being on the move. But the absence of the validation and the absence of the confirmation and the acknowledgement that that's a person, or that it's even actually a reality at all, well, this can seem to allow, in an illusory process, can seem to allow for certain beliefs and opinions to just kind of, well, come or go, stay, doesn't matter. And there can seem to be a release and a relaxation of all of this neurotic, pent-up energy of feeling like I'm going somewhere, and that I need to be going somewhere, or that I need to achieve something within this whole, to be worthy enough, to be good enough, to be lovable enough. It's on the run. It's on a chase to get to a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which simply doesn't exist. All the time it's moving towards that rainbow, the rainbow just seems to be moving further and further away. So the teachings and the practices, the processes, the exercises, however spiritual, philosophical, religious or secular they seem to be, and how helpful they might seem to be, are not getting you anywhere. Because there's simply nowhere to get to. The absolute can't be moved towards or away from. And in that exposure is a rest, an incomprehensible and undigestible and ungraspable resting, an apparent resting within this. And that's liberation, total liberation. The liberation from the need to go anywhere, the liberation from the need to stay here, the liberation from the need to be here and now. There's no here and now, because there is only what's appearing to happen. And that includes the totality of all thoughts, memories, ideas and perceptions. Well, then there's nowhere to get to, and there's nowhere to remain. There's only this freedom. It was never missing, it was never lost. It only seemed to be because I, the illusory separate self, was too busy looking for it in a conditioned state or experience. Well, the absence of that seeking is just the natural reality of this immediacy, which was never not what's happening. It's too immediate, it's too simple, it's too natural to ever know, to ever hold or own. It's already this. So we're not making progress. We're not moving anywhere. We're not getting to any kind of desired outcome or conclusion. There's simply an apparent timeless exposure of what is already. And that can seem to be energetically apparent. It can seem to be conceptually apparent. There can seem to be, a bit of a conceptual understanding about this happening, or not. Doesn't matter, it's not required. And there can seem to be, basking. Absolute basking in unconditional love. So we can have a bit of a chat about that, a bit of a play. And whatever response or reaction seems to appear upon all of that is totally welcome. And, laughter or tears or sitting quietly, boredom, waiting for, is there a tea break yet? Or it's all freedom, yeah.
Okay, this word basking, to me it seems like there has to be someone there to bask.
Yeah, it seems like there's someone basking, maybe, and then maybe it just seems like basking is happening.
Are you saying liberation feels like basking? Or something like that?
It can seem like that. I mean, it's a word, of course it might seem to suggest that someone is in the basking, or someone is doing the basking. So it can seem like someone is bathing in an infinite ocean of unknowable wonder, or then there can just be infinite unknowable wonder.
Okay.
So it's like, it might feel like someone is in this appearance, bathing in this appearance, and apparently that can just dissolve, and there's no one left. There's no center left, so to speak. Of course, that process it's illusory. It's an illusion because timeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the entire reason why the process is illusory just because there's no time?
Yeah, no timeline, yeah.
Okay.
So when it seems like continuity is fundamental, this will always look like something is changing and that there's a process happening of any kind. So whether it's a process to becoming enlightened or a process to becoming fitter or healthier, seems like this is a linear reality where process demands continuity. Yeah. But as though that whole reality of continuity disappears, there's no sense of that being a reality, nor was it ever a reality. Yeah. It only seemed that way. Yeah.
And there's no way, I can't understand that, right?
It doesn't seem to be understood. I mean, people seem to try to understand that, but it doesn't seem to be I mean, immediacy does not seem to be understandable, because there's nothing to step back from that. to understand it.
Yeah.
In that sense, it can't be known, because it would have to be objectifiable to be known. Yeah.
Okay.
If there is only that, then there's nothing to know that. Yeah. So this obviously doesn't know that. Nothing does. It's just speaking. Everything is.
Would you say you know nothing?
Well, I would say that there is no I. There's just speaking happening. Yeah. So no I to know anything. Yeah.
Does knowledge exist?
Not really. Well, knowledge is existence in a way, but there is no knowledge or existence without separation, without subject and object.
Okay. I have another, something I've been thinking about from watching your talks. How come you don't use the word death much, if at all? Like some speakers talk about, you like that word a lot, actually.
I do quite like the word death. Yeah.
Okay.
But it suggests that there's an end of something. Maybe that's why it doesn't tend to get used so much nowadays, apparently nowadays, because it still suggests that there's an end goal. Naturally, for many people who are deeply immersed in that sense of seeking for something, you know, the word death has just replaced the word enlightenment as the finish line to life. And that's somewhere I need to get to, whether it's spiritual death, ego death, or enlightenment death, whatever. It still sounds like an end point, which I am relating to in the future. Well, this is dream stuff. Yeah. There's no one to live or die already.
Okay. I mean, like the self was never real to begin with.
Exactly, yeah.
So.
To say that death is real is to validate that the self is real. There isn't one.
But it would maybe appear like death to the self?
Yeah, to that visceral, embodied center. It seems like life and death are miles apart, and they are both real. Yeah.
Could I ask something?
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey.
Hey. So I've heard this statement, it's all done, or it's already
yeah.
done. Do you use that? Or I've heard it in Non-Duality talk somewhere.
It seems apparent, yeah.
Okay.
It's done, and yet it never was not done. Yeah.
Never was not done. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that have any relation to an idea of that the future is predetermined, or something like that? Like sometimes when people say it's done, it's the future's already set.
No, not really.
Okay.
Predetermination requires continuity to be fundamental, yeah.
Right.
There's no continuity, so nothing is predetermined. There's only chaos, anarchy,
Okay.
play, timeless play.
What was that last thing?
Timeless play, yeah.
So I have a sense that there's going to be a future. Something's going to happen. But that's not separate from, say, anything else.
Exactly, yeah.
this. So even the present and the future are not separate. So some things seem to be done for the future, like saving money or eating healthy.
Sure.
Would you say that's just a story that such things are done for the future?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
But it's not any more or less real than this, what's appearing to happen. Yeah. It's just that way of seeing it as a cause and effect, linear reality is not actually real. Yeah. It just looks that way. There's nothing wrong with that, it just looks that way. Yeah.
So, if everything is chaos, there's no intelligence. Even that's a story that things seem to be related. That's
Yeah, there's no driving force behind this appearance, which would kind of, somehow or other it sounds like intelligence would imply that there's some kind of driving force behind this appearance, then there isn't one. That sense that there is comes from that internal personal sense that there's a will here, so there's a will everywhere. Yeah, it projects its sense of autonomy onto.
But there's really no will anywhere.
No,
right?
no.
Okay, so we talk about emotions, thoughts, physical objects, past, future, as if we know what all those things are or how they're defined or something.
In a dream it seems that way.
Yeah, we don't know what those things are, right?
Well, there is no we really.
Okay.
So if there is no we, there's only talking appearing to happen, and no one's doing it. Yeah.
Talk, or if it's in your own, if there's no talk, it's just some labeling or division or something like that.
Well, yes. I mean, just talking and conversing. That seems to be happening.
Okay.
There might be an illusory perception within this that feels like it's doing that. That it's there doing that and overseeing it and relating to it. But in the absence of that kind of centre, there's just talking happening, yeah, and listening and whatever else. None of it's put on for anyone. It's just happening. Yeah. That centre can't see that. It can't notice that because it won't be there.
The center can't notice.
Yeah, it can never know its own absence.
Yeah.
That's the one thing it can't know.
My mind is just blown right now. So we just spent 8-9 hours driving to get here today, and there's no driver. God, it's just, I swear I was driving, you know?
It seemed like it, did it?
It's just, how are we not wrecking into each other?
How are we not?
How are we not just totally destroying everything? Because there is no way. How are the cars not and the airplanes not crashing?
Right, well, how are the trees growing?
God.
How are the clouds passing by through the sky?
How, Alexis?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I said, how are the trees growing? How are the clouds passing through the sky? How are the mountains growing? The waves splashing? The orbiting around the sun? How is anything happening at all? Yeah.
Looks like the driving force is called intelligence.
From the dream point of view, absolutely. Yeah. You know, what's really stunning about all of this is that even within the illusory sense of autonomy has no autonomy within it, no autonomy behind it. It's simply tension, yeah. And all thoughts and beliefs that there is autonomy has no one say-so within it. Like anyone who would rise up right now, which is welcomed to happen, and say, I do have control, that would not have anyone's control in it. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Like any response or reaction to this is totally, chaotically, freely being that. Yeah. Yeah. Tension and relaxation, contraction and expansion is all totally, chaotically, anarchically this. Sporadic and spontaneous. It's all.
Nice to see you. Year and a half, I've, just talking about it loosely, I've spent like the better part of like the last year and a half just in bed watching YouTube videos and mostly like I was surprised. I mean, didn't think about it at the time, but I moved away. Like I started to see this message as like kind of just I didn't lose interest in it, but I just saw it as something that I like. What's the point? Like it doesn't help the world at all. It doesn't do anything. Like why? And I couldn't. I wasn't getting. Of course, I wasn't getting anywhere with it, and there was part of me that had this idea that I had lost, any meaning in life, and I couldn't. This message kind of had me in its grip, and I couldn't find any use to do anything. But then I just realized that that wasn't even. That's just what was happening. I was just there, lying in bed. It wasn't because this message was, screwing with me or anything, or I found it to be like, all of a sudden I found life meaningless. It was just what was happening, and there's no real point in what I'm sharing, as if there's a point in anything. But it's funny. Like I would share this with friends, and they would see like, that's they'd see it as a problem, and it's interesting because I no longer can really identify with the idea with like there's anything wrong with any behavior. I mean, at least that I'm doing. I don't know. I guess I can see other people's behavior. Other things that other people do. I might think that's wrong, but. Yeah, whenever somebody tries to like I was talking to a friend today, and he was saying, "Oh, so are you getting over, the just being in bed all the time?" And I was, and he went on and on about it, and it's interesting to see how it's kind of like I just don't believe in Santa anymore. I can't believe in the idea that there's. That anything I do is any sort of problem, and I'm sharing this pointlessly.
Of course,
yeah.
So you've recovered from the non-dual flu, have you?
Well, yes, and like to go into the story, of me, of me and some sort of process. I definitely like looking back when I first came across it. I was gripped by it, and I like, oh, this is it, and I couldn't turn my gaze away, but I felt like, oh, I have to watch videos. I have to be committed to having myself fall away.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And now it's just I just love watching. I just love listening to you and all the other people, and it's just a joy, and that's all there is, Yeah. And it's funny because I've gone to a couple of meetings. Like I've seen Jim Newman a few times, and I guess nobody else. But I always have like all these questions I'm gonna say, and like, and I'm gonna be so joyful and I feel all this excitement, and then I can feel, I don't know, I mean there's just like, then I come here and I'm partially like that's just how I am when speaking around strangers, and I feel insecure and self-conscious and stuff, but it's not what it's not, in some ways it's not what I imagined at all. In other ways it is. And I have been like just watching videos and start crying but it's I don't know. I'm just blabbing now, but I have just so much gratitude for. I guess more gratitude, like for life. Like I feel like I'm falling in love with life, and that's a story. And then of course I can say, oh, I know this, but then I can say, oh, well, I know I can't really know, and just kind of like go in a circle that I can't get out of when when trying to articulate
it can't be articulated.
anything. Yeah.
So it's just in loveness happening.
Yeah, and it's so good to be here.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful.
So, thank you. So what's the non-dual flu? I've never heard that before.
Oh, it just came out now. Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah. Well, sometimes, as a story, of course, for some bodies, they've been so immersed and invested in the seeking and the destinations, whatever destination that might be, and the destination might change day to day, month to month, year to year, but, that energy, that imaginary perpetual energy of being on the move to get somewhere, and the total slicing through all of that, nowhere to get to, nothing to do, no one to be doing, nowhere to stay, like apparent apathy and hopelessness can set into a body system upon hearing all of that. It can kind of, knock it off its feet, so to speak. And so apparently for some bodies it can really kind of like, and in that sort of, hopelessness, that it can seem a bit depressing sometimes. And it can kind of feel a bit apathetic or lazy, or really nice that there's no direction. Wow, what a wonder. How this is already, even the sadness and the pain and the anger, it's like, it's all this, It's not always going to happen like that, obviously, but that can appear to happen, Am I speaking loud enough? Yeah.
You want to tell him? Tell her? Tell her.
Uh-oh.
That she's barely speaking loud enough.
What I said was that basically an apathy. There was nothing important, don't worry.
It's twice now, Lex. You're skating.
Yeah, it's just been like recently where, I mean, I want to say this in some way that's like totally non-dual, but just
luck.
like what?
Good luck.
Yeah, yeah. A recognition that that having a sense of me is not a problem.
Well, no one has a sense of me. You know, if there is such a thing as a sense of me, that is the illusion of a subject. So the subject doesn't have itself as an object. So that no one has a sense of me, right?
Yes.
That could lose a sense of me. There either is that sense or there isn't, but no one has it. No one loses it.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course it's not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it seems like there's no sense that it's a problem. It might feel itself to be a problem, but it isn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt like, well, there is something, you know, there is something wrong.
Yeah.
There is, and there's a deeper layer where everything is right, and there's just been a sense of ease and just that recognition, and yeah, and it's just, you know, it's made me think of like, you know, I was seeking enlightenment, and how teachers of enlightenment would say, they would say the message is, you know, the mainstream non-dual message is very similar, and they'd, you know, say things like, yeah, like this is it, and then they give you some practice to get to, you know, then, you know, then there's a destination to get to at the same time as saying this is it.
Yeah.
And it's such a relief to have discovered this message where it's just there's nothing given. There's, you know, there's absolutely nothing given, and at first that really unsettled me, but now I find it such a relief.
Yes.
That there's absolutely nothing to do, and then even if I'm doing something, there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and no one.
That's just what's happening.
Yeah, no one's doing anything.
Yeah. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you.
So a thought arising in this body seems to be more accessible and known than a thought arising in that body?
Well, thoughts aren't really arising in bodies.
Okay.
They're not arising in anything.
There's no... So, yeah, there's no my thought and your thought, for
Exactly,
example.
yeah, because there's no my, there's no subject to have one and to not have the other. Yeah. That too would be a thought that would distinguish.
Yeah. Okay.
Just changing the camera battery.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, apparently.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Everything that's appearing to happen has no volition behind it whatsoever. This appearance is complete anarchy, and no one gave the green light. No one gave the go-ahead for this to be the way it is. And that is kind of obvious, really, but it's not obvious to that which feels distant from this appearance, viewing it objectively. Without that illusory perception of there being a separate awareness, there is only anarchic immediacy, and it's not even timely, so it's nothing. None of it is actually substantial or real or fundamental. There's no separate things, and there's no one driving any of it.
Judging things or declaring things good or bad, is that a me? I mean, if I were to say that being in pain is bad or being happy is good or something.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no you, there just is pain. Yeah. It's neither good or bad. Right or wrong, it's just pain. And painkillers is neither good or bad. Yeah.
I mean, it's just completely, totally incomprehensible. Mm-hmm. And I can't comprehend how incomprehensible it is. And it's, I mean, that's one thing that's just really been hitting me is how I really, like, getting more of a sense how I don't understand what this is. And I even, like, when I first heard this message, I still, like, well, I know a lot of things. I understand how, I don't know, this or that works, or and to see that everything is just a story, and they can be useful. Like, it's not like the stories are negated, but how to make bread has a story of how to do that. I mean, I don't.
To be clear, the way story is talked about in this context is something else other than this.
Okay.
That's what a story is. A story is a statement or a claim about something else other than what is. Without anything else other than what is, there's no story. There just is what is. That's I feel excitement around that there's. I mean, this is incomprehensible, and I don't have any questions. You don't have any questions, but you want a question.
Yes.
Well, I guess no. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's funny. Like with Jim Newman, like I was always like afraid to say, like he would like I found like it was just like having like the jaws of the lion, just and like nope, and which it's I love how and it's interesting to see how each non-dual speaker is. I mean, they're just their own their own their flavor. Yeah, like with one thing that got me caught up with Jim was it's just like a few times where he made somebody, I don't know, somehow running came up, or he brought it up, and he said, "Oh, I hate running," and it doesn't matter what eating healthy, and so I got in this like, and I like to eat healthy, I like taking care of my body, but when I heard that, I was like, oh, if I'm concerned about that, then I'm not being
Right.
non-dual, or I'm not
Oh.
getting closer to the non-dual. So for a while, I was just like, screw. I don't know. I was like, oh, I felt wrong to eat healthy, take care of my body.
I see. Yeah.
and then I've seen like there's some other people. They're like, oh well, who are really into non-dual speakers, really into doing yoga or eating healthy. I'm like, oh well.
Well, no one's
what is
doing
it?
any of that. Yeah.
What?
No one's doing any of that.
Yeah,
no one's
doing.
eating healthy or
Yeah,
unhealthy.
which
no
I
one's
mean,
meditating, and no one's choosing to stop meditating.
yes,
It happens. It doesn't make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no obstacles. That's what that energy thinks, is that there is a path to get to enlightenment, and then it thinks the path to enlightenment is an obstacle to enlightenment, so then it tries to give up the path to get to over there. There's nowhere to get to. So it doesn't make a difference if eating healthy is happening or not.
Yeah.
If that makes any difference. Yeah, because there's nowhere to get to. There's nothing in the way of this.
Yeah.
This is unconditional, so you can't set up the conditions to get to this, which is already unconditional. Those are the stories which tangle up this energy into thinking that it's making progress or trying to relinquish progress. It's all the same. Yeah, there's nothing to achieve. Yeah. And there's nothing to relinquish. It's all this already. The storytelling just seems to overlay that and seems to imagine that there's somewhere else, something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhen else.
And yeah. And there has to be like a looking out to like, oh,
It's that dream sort of anticipatory energy of the what's next. Always about what's next, never about what is. Yeah.
yeah.
This is incomprehensible because of how utterly simple it is. That's why it's incomprehensible, because it's too simple for comprehension. It's not complicated. It thinks it's complicated, and that's maybe what it tells itself, but actually it's so simple it's beyond comprehension altogether. That there's just what's appearing to happen.
I was with a spiritual teacher, and his name is Andrew Cohen, and he originally his organization was called Moksha, the Moksha Foundation, and then eventually got changed to Enlighten Next, because it all became about the future, like bringing in the enlightened.
Yeah.
World, but yeah, it was he had next, right? I mean, I just
always about what's next.
Yeah. And then it's not a problem to think about what's next.
Yeah, there are no problems.
Yeah.
There are no problems or solutions. There's only what is.
Yeah. Because I was listening to what's his name, Andreas Mueller, and he was talking about how he actually plans a lot more now than he did when he first started speaking, and he found that and he says, he spends a lot of time in his. I mean, the mind or.
It's just
there's not. Yeah, I keep putting a me in there, but there's there's thoughts about, oh well, what are they gonna have for dinner, and it's such a relief to just see that there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing in the way.
Yeah, there's nothing in the way, and there's no one in the way. It just is what is appearing to happen. It just is what is appearing to happen.
And I feel the part of me that like right now, there's like I feel that. There's the energy of there's something in the way, which
and that also isn't in the way. The sense that something in the way is not in the way. It just is what is. Yeah. I mean, if liberation is to be found in the future, it's constricted, it's conditioned by being in the future and not now, and therefore it's not liberation. It's limited. That's the paradox of this, is that if liberation or enlightenment is to be found in a state or an experience, an event, what's next over there, through this practice or that, whatever, it is by definition not free. It's so, freedom is unconditional. That's another word for absolute. You can't possibly get towards or away from that. And any path or process or teaching that says otherwise is just fool's gold. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, liberation's not in the future.
It's all there is.
It can't be in the future.
It's all there is.
It's all there is.
Yeah.
So, that you're saying this is it. This is liberation.
This is it, baby.
Doesn't seem that great.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Like, this isn't what I'm looking for.
oh no, it's not. No. No. I mean, if liberation was just great, is that really liberation? Liberation is absolutely unconditionally everything. It's not got anything to do with polarity of good and right and righteous and nice. It's everything. It's everything. It's unpolarized. It's unconditional.
Yeah.
That's not nice it's not nice fantastical fairyland liberation. It's all there is liberation. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't seem appealing.
No.
No.
Not to that which wants a better experience for itself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wants liberation on its own terms. And that's why the teachings and the practices, whatever kind they may be, are so appealing. Because it offers liberation on your terms. This is what you can do. This is how you can get it.
Yeah.
Sign here.
At least you have a shot, or at least maybe it'll be appealing.
Right.
Unlike this.
Yeah, yeah. Totally, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it thinks it wants that. I mean, really, it doesn't. It thinks it wants a nice, pleasant, tranquil experience, but it doesn't really want that, because those just, in the dream, come and go. Yeah. There's no such thing as everlasting, happiness, ride off into the sunset, and everything is wonderful forever. This is dream stuff. Those enlightenment stories are fairy tales for adults.
But then, what are we even talking about? Or what are we,
Nothing. There's talking appearing to happen.
Why are we here looking to you for answers?
Well, I don't have any. I mean, there's just I'm playing. I'm just playing with you. But there's just conversing, and there's questions, and perhaps there's wants and needs coming out of an expression of separation. And what's being exposed is that what that energy actually longs for is to just come home to what is already inseparable. But all the time it's invested in the what's next. It can't come around to receiving that. It's too invested in its own path going somewhere else. And in that investment, it's closed to this exposure, because it seems like it's left without a paddle. So if it's left without a paddle, so it's too invested in the what's next, it's unlikely that this is going to be anywhere near appealing. But when it seems like there's maybe kind of an exhaustion with that whole seeking energy, the whole exhaustion, or not just for goodness sake, I've tried this, I've done that. Maybe then, and not always, but maybe then there's just kind of a relaxation that can set in. It's not conditional, and it's not required.
That's still Okay, so there, the relaxation setting in is kind of the goal, or
Well,
that's the promised land, you know?
The promised land is this already. That energy is just too busy looking for it in a state or an experience to ever see
Yeah,
that.
so the promised land is that energy ending.
No,
So
the promised land is already this, yeah, with or without that seeking energy.
okay.
It's not a problem. It tells itself it's a problem and off it goes looking for a solution. But it's not a problem, yeah. It's simply this, totality, looking for a way out. There's no way out. It tries very sincerely and austerely to find it. It never does.
I would say it is kind of a problem, though.
To itself. It seems to be a problem to itself. So it looks for answers and solutions.
Yeah. So why doesn't it matter that to itself it's a problem? Or, you know?
Well, it doesn't
Why does the perspective, why is that perspective not legitimate?
It's not legitimate. It just is what's appearing to happen, like everything else. But in that particular appearance, it, and only to itself, seems to be a problem. So it looks for solutions and remedies. It looks for things to soothe itself. In the dream of autonomy, of course, because no one's in there actually doing any of that. But it looks for comfort and relief from its own existential disease. It's the appearance of existential disease. However subtle or gross that might seem, it feels like there's restlessness within that appearance. And so it looks for solutions and remedy. But it never really, it's just in the same way an addict or an alcoholic goes to the bar again and again and again, goes to the dealer, the whatever, again and again and again. Spirituality and religion is all the same, always the same, always trying to get the next high, whether it's spiritual or material.
Right.
It can't rest in this, because that's its illusory annihilation. It will avoid that as much as it can, even though no one ever does that.
I still don't get why that existential dis-ease is not a problem.
Well, it's only a problem to itself. Nothing else cares if it's there or not. It isn't a problem. It's just energy. It's just energy wound up viscerally in a body. It's not an error. It's not a mistake. It's not something that shouldn't have happened. It might tell itself in the dream that it shouldn't be this way, or that it's unworthy or unlovable, not good enough, wrong. So, you know, the religions and the spirituality seem to feed off of that, because they tell you this, you know, you're bad, or you're unworthy, or someone else died for your sins, or whatever else. Yeah. But it's not a problem, it's just energy, that's all. It tends to live on the notion that it's a problem. That's its nutrition. The more it looks for a solution, the more it believes itself to be a problem. It isn't.
Because it's, what, just a false relative perspective of one individual who doesn't exist? That's why it's not a problem?
It's simply energy. Yeah, it's just simply energy, really. That's what it seems to come down to.
Okay.
Is energy in that form. Yeah. And, you know, as was said in the apparent intro, energy in that form gets taken for a person. Like, when the body seems to have that centered sense, it's interpreted as a person. And that is dissatisfying, because it's confused. The whole system is confused by that.
Yeah.
It's been taken for a person, but there isn't a person there. So it's confused. It feels like there's a kind of contractedness about it, because it feels irritable, maybe even restless. And then stories grow. Something's wrong. I will find the cure.
Yeah. So that it's a problem is a story.
It's the
there's
very
some energy.
the storytelling.
There's some impersonal energy, which isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Then there's this story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a way,
this shouldn't be, or this. Yeah.
Yeah, all those stories seem to keep it feeling like it's going somewhere. Because as long as there's a problem, there's a solution. And as long as there's a solution, there's a problem. And to paraphrase someone else, the problem is that there isn't a problem. That's the real problem, is that there isn't actually a problem. Yeah, there's no problem. And that, to that energy, is deeply problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's there or not. Or at the end of the day, there's just sensation, and there's just what is.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, that can, again, it suggests a story and a timeline, so forgive me for that, but that can seem to percolate. Yeah. Because if this energy is deeply invested, it's like there's maybe receptivity or maybe there isn't, but it can seem to percolate.
What can?
The notion that there isn't a problem and that there isn't a solution either. Yeah. That can seem to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see if it's just energy. Like, how could you say energy is, this sort of energy is a problem? That doesn't really make sense. Whatever,
Yeah. Only the story seems to say otherwise. Only the story seems to say that there's a real problem and a real solution, a real illness and a real cure. Yeah.
Yet the self is at the energetic level?
It really seems misleading to call it a self at all.
Okay.
The self, I think, is more accurately a story that comes out of that centered energy. But that energy which feels localized is not really a self, a person, an entity, or an individual. It's just energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, we tend to hear the energetic contraction is like, let's say, the beginning of the problem. But then I was just thinking, maybe it's the story. I don't know. It seems more the way I was just thinking of it. The story seems
there's no problem.
Do the defining as a problem part.
The story is not a problem. The story is that there is a problem.
And the story that there is a problem is not a problem.
No. No, nice try. Yeah. No, there's no problem. The story is that there is a problem. Yeah. That might be what the story is saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not a problem.
No, nothing is. Yeah.
Right.
It's just storytelling, or there isn't. It's all this. So essentially, it is suggested that there is no problem and there is no solution. Nothing is broken, so there's nothing to fix. There's no cure when there's no illness. Nothing changes and nothing stays the same. This is timeless immediacy, and it's home. This is home. Home is all there is, and the looking for home is home itself as well. So unconditional freedom simply cannot be moved towards or away from. It can't be broken into, and it can't be escaped from when it is all there is, and that is totality itself. Thank you, everybody. Much love.
Thank you.
Will everybody be here tomorrow?